Hey there! We're doing things a little differently this week at Coinage. We're coming to you live from the Metaverse, or at least a Metaverse. Here in Decentraland, you can walk around, talk to people, and even purchase property. All things to love and hate about real life. But then again, we already have real life, and it's a lot more realistic than this. Speaking of, let me try something. That's better. So what's really going on with the Metaverse? And more importantly, does anyone actually want to live there? Welcome to Coinage. I'm Zach Guzman. The American dream wouldn't be complete without its most enduring image, home ownership, white picket fence, and all. But only about a third of people under 30 believe in the American dream these days, and home ownership feels out of reach for almost everyone I know. Luckily, there's one place left where houses are still relatively cheap. And no, it's not Detroit. It's the Metaverse, specifically digital worlds like Decentraland and the Sandbox. There, you can buy property, build a house, and invite all your friends over, just like in real life. Only now, you're not bound by location. Instead, anyone from anywhere in the world can stop by, so long as they have an internet connection. You can build wealth just like your parents did in real estate, just way less real. But maybe you can be neighbors with a celebrity. Snoop Dogg already built a virtual property, and you could have been his virtual next-door neighbor for the low price of $450,000. But wait a minute, why buy digital real estate at all? The only reason real land has value is because it's scarce. But the Metaverse doesn't technically need to have scarcity, and it's not clear why you'd want that either. I mean, Minecraft became a multi-billion-dollar brand specifically because their virtual world is endless, and players can build anything their hearts desire. So why restrict that perfect digital utopia with concepts like land ownership or scarcity? Well, maybe to make more money. But who wants to live in a metaverse like that anyway? We already live in a normal verse like that. To understand what in the digital hell is going on, we decided we needed to experience it firsthand. So Coinage became real estate developers in the metaverse ourselves. And while most people might design the home of their dreams, that just didn't seem appropriate in the bear market. So we asked an architect to recreate my first New York City apartments, complete with all the big city niceties, like a shower in the kitchen and a leak in the ceiling. Then we're going to try to flip it. Essentially, we're trying to take my apartments that I've lived in New York and plop them into the Metaverse. You've done this before, right? This is your bread and butter.
So I'm just wondering what you want to see in the apartment, like what you can't not have inside of the Metaverse home.
It's a bear market, as you know. There's not a lot of money to go around anymore, so I figured it'd be better to put into the Metaverse something a little bit more humble. This is in the East Village is where I used to live back in the day. Just came out of college, was looking at a cheaper apartment. It had some nice features though. Nice crown molding on the wood. There were problems in this little tiny hallway, such as bugs that could crawl through the brick. The rooms were a little tiny, and there was shit that came in the old bathroom ceiling. That's homey. As the landlord said. So the kitchen you could basically stand in was how much space you got, and the dishwasher opened into the wall. I don't know how particular you can get with some of the vermin issues we had in the apartment. There were bed bugs, there were mice. Flavor like that.
Well, I'll definitely translate that.
All right, so that's one apartment. The other one that I lived in was on the Upper East Side. The floor plan on this was rather odd. Basically, it was a walk-through railroad.
So was this advertised as a 2-bedroom, or was it advertised as a 1-bedroom with...
This was advertised as a 2-bedroom.
Oh.
You know New York City.
Yeah.
It was rather interesting because it had this nice painted wall, which I could only color match with this painting. Also, this is important to note, the bathroom didn't have a sink. When you pop out the bathroom, you're in the kitchen. So is it the best apartment? I don't know.
I think it has good qualities to it. I think if it just had a little work, it could have been a great apartment.
I think, sometimes people move to New York, they think it's going to be all glitz and glamour. They don't realize that, okay, for your budget in this city, you can only live in an apartment like this, basically. Yeah. How detail-oriented can you get?
I think we can bring the character of this apartment straight into the Metaverse, honestly.
Really?
Yeah.
All the goods and all the bads. Are there any limitations as far as anything we should know when it comes to, how you can capture the magic of apartments that have such elegance and grace, and whether or not they fit anywhere particularly in the Metaverse?
it gets hard to do things that don't look great in the metaverse because everything is meant to draw people in and it's supposed to look amazing.
Yeah.
I don't want to say they didn't build the assets for crappy looking things. So I think that's going to be the hardest part for me is to doing and modeling the rust and the sort of dirt and all that into an apartment, especially in Decentraland where everything is future tech and sci-fi. So this is going to be a little bit challenging, I think.
So you're saying the old virtual reality, the metaverse, isn't prepared for the reality that is
that is New York City.
Yeah. You think we can convert a lot of this stuff into the metaverse?
Yeah, I think we surely can do it. And I'm not sure about the bed bugs, but everything else, yeah.
As close as we can get.
As close as we can get, yeah.
Deal. All right, so we're well on our way to building the perfect piece of digital real estate. And with it, a proverbial flag planted in the metaverse. All this might seem stupid right now, but digital real estate and the metaverse are no laughing matter. If for no other reason than the fact that billionaires and tech giants are pouring money into them, literally converting perfectly profitable companies into money-burning monstrosities. So let's talk about why so many people are invested in making digital real estate work and why so many tech giants think the metaverse is the next big thing. But first, let's back up. Because what even is the metaverse? It seems straightforward, but think about it for more than 5 seconds and you'll realize that it's a lot stranger than it appears at first, and a lot more all over the place. When you think of the metaverse, what do you think about? Basically, a digital world, yeah? A digital version of the physical world, with all the same things you'd find in the physical world, just better, presumably. So let's go with that. But then what? What would you do there? Is it a place to work, to have fun, to go shopping, to live your whole life? Is it an alternative to our current reality, or just an augmentation of it? Is it better or worse? A utopia or dystopia? In short, different or the same old bullshit? And just think about it. Maybe we're living in the metaverse already. Is it really such a stretch, especially during COVID, when we live so much of our lives online? Maybe we've been living in it since the advent of the internet.
I don't believe it.
But alas, no one really knows what the metaverse is. Not even the tech giants that desperately want you to pack up and move there. For the purposes of this show, let's agree that a metaverse is basically a spatial online reality that mimics the real world, just digital, because it's hard to argue that we're not in the metaverse already unless you make that assumption. And for good measure, let's agree that if you're in a metaverse, you're probably strapping something awkward and degrading to your body. That's probably roughly what Zuck thinks about the metaverse too. At least based on what he and his Facebook devs have been dreaming up. And yes, that's right, I called it Facebook. You'll never get me to call it Meta, no matter how hard you try. Frankly, I'm still in denial that it owns Instagram. But let's talk about Facebook and its Horizon Worlds metaverse. Because out of all the tech giants that desperately want you to pack up and move online, Facebook seems like it's the most desperate. And there's a couple reasons for that. The first is pretty simple and predictable. Profit. It's hard to make money off you when you're just sitting in your analog home doing nothing in particular. And when everyone agrees, your app sucks. And when you're averaging users each and every day. But we don't need to get into that right now. That's because it's hard to surveil you when you're stuck in an analog world with basic privacy norms and basic laws of physics. And that's really fundamentally how all Web 2 companies of the world make their money, by surveilling you and selling that data to other companies that want to sell you things. Solution: make life digital. It's so obvious. Why live in this physical world where no one's looking out for you? It's not even that nice. We pretty much trashed the place.
And the explosion triggered the biggest marine oil spill in global history.
The second reason might be even simpler, if a little psychotic. And it's that many of the antisocial leaders in tech think the metaverse is super cool. Basically, they read a bunch of science fiction books when they were kids and very possibly got the wrong message from them. The word metaverse is actually from a science fiction novel called Snow Crash. And you guessed it, it's about an evil business magnate who owns the metaverse and decides to infect everyone in it with a computer/biological virus. Now, is any of that even possible? I don't know. But you'd think Facebook's PR team might take a look at the etymology of the word metaverse before renaming the entire company. But don't worry, this is going to be fun.
This is the dimension of imagination.
Okay, so there's a lot of things wrong with this ad. And we're gonna go through every single one of them because Facebook decided to turn comments off. And that's really just not that fair. 1, the ad begins with some ominous music. Some people might call it mysterious, but they'd be wrong. It's ominous and creepy. 2, the ad is called The Tiger and the Buffalo. And the tiger is eating the buffalo. Need we say more? 3, the only piece of dialogue is spoken by the homicidal tiger. And it says this is the dimension of imagination, which is taken directly from The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling's psychological horror series from the 50s and 60s. Incredible. 4, the flamingo is twerking. 5, each Gen Z looks upset, like the way you might look if you got sucked into the metaverse. That, or like they're totally vibing. And 6, at the end, the tiger still looks like he wants to eat the buffalo. There are so many things wrong with this ad, we genuinely think it's a Trojan horse from a disgruntled employee. And whoever signed off on it, God bless you. I, and everyone at Coinage, salute you, good sir or madam. Incredible work. All right, so each tech company desperately wants their platform to be the winner. And there's a lot of competitors, from crypto projects like Decentraland and the Sandbox, and Bored Ape Yacht Club's other side metaverse, to tech companies like Nvidia's Omniverse, and yes, Facebook's Horizon Worlds. Oh, and games like Second Life and VR Chat.
Second Life is not a game. It is a multi-user virtual environment.
Attracting that many players is understandable, because if the metaverse is as big as some people think, then there's a lot of incentive to make sure your platform is the one everyone uses. Just look at Apple and its App Store. Even though Apple isn't even close to dominating the smartphone market, it can still insist on taking 30% of all sales through the App Store or through any of the apps on the App Store, which normally you'd call extortion if it wasn't so eminently legal. But not everyone is down with a single company owning the metaverse. I mean, that's kind of what Web3 is all about. The idea that you should be in control of your destiny online, which is where crypto comes in. And with it, ideas of scarcity, custody, and interoperability. In the Web3 vision of the metaverse, the whole thing works a lot more like the real world. Maybe you log into the metaverse using a particular provider, but once you're there, you're basically in public. You can see who you want, do what you want, and go where you want. But most importantly, you can buy what you want, and those things travel with you. And the Web3 ideal of the metaverse only works with crypto, because the real vision of the metaverse isn't just digital space, it's a digital economy. And for a digital economy to work, you need crypto to create digital scarcity and enable self-custody. So let's tackle digital scarcity first. You see, before crypto, anyone could copy any digital thing and make an infinite number of copies of that thing. Remember BitTorrent, LimeWire? Yeah, the entire world flipped a metaphorical shit over that.
To the tune of $72 trillion.
And crypto solved it, right? Well, sort of. You can still totally copy anything. Or as crypto heads might call it, right-click save anything. But you can also create provably scarce items on a particular blockchain. For instance, if you create an NFT of Jeff Bezos on Ethereum, that'll be the only NFT of Jeff Bezos on Ethereum that was created by you at that particular time. Which maybe isn't saying a lot, but it is provable on the blockchain. And if you can convince everyone that you're the right person to publish that picture of Jeff Bezos, then you can sell it for some money. Maybe even a lot of money. But say Jeff Bezos comes along and says he actually owns that picture, and he creates an NFT of that same exact picture on Ethereum. Then it'll be the second NFT of Jeff Bezos on Ethereum, except the new one would have been created by the actual Jeff Bezos, which would make your NFT basically worthless. The real-life parallel here is that there are a lot of replicas of the Starry Night, but only the one painted by Van Gogh is worth the big bucks. The copies just ain't it. And there are only so many provable originals. All right, so we've covered digital scarcity. But what about self-custody? Crypto enables self-custody online for the first time ever, which basically means that you can be in direct custody of the things you own without depending on middlemen. It's in stark contrast to Web 2 companies that actually prevent you from being in direct custody of anything. Let's go through another example, again, centered around our boy Jeff Bezos. When you buy a movie on Amazon, you don't actually have custody of the movie. You own the right to stream that movie on Amazon. But what if they go away, go bankrupt, or decide they've had just enough evil empire business for a while? Well, then that's it. Your movie disappears. Because you never really owned it, did you?
I hope you're hungry for nothing.
What's worse is there's nothing in theory from stopping a company like Amazon from altering their terms of service. Maybe one day they decide that $14.99 wasn't enough for Sharknado 7 The Sharkening. What if it decides you owe a $1.99 service fee every year for the privilege of owning that movie on Amazon? Well, you're kind of screwed then, aren't you? Because you probably weren't in your right mind when you bought it. And now you're going to have to pay $150 over 50 years to own a $15 movie for the rest of your life. And you didn't even want it in the first place. Again, crypto has the solution. Sort of. Anyone can still copy the data of your NFT. If it's a picture, for example, they can save it to their own computer. But only you can prove ownership on the blockchain. As long as the blockchain's running, no one can take that away from you. Unless you get hacked, of course.
Hackers stole about $360,000 worth of the digital asset.
Okay, so that's scarcity and self-custody. And they're important because you kind of need those things for a digital economy to work in the first place. But they also enable interoperability, as in not only owning Sharknado 7 on Amazon, but also taking ownership of that digital item with you, even if you hopped over to, say, Apple TV or Netflix. And that's pretty powerful. If you have an army of digital consumers who own scarce items and scarce currencies that they're in custody of themselves, well, there's a whole lot of incentive to make things interoperable. Just like in the real world, consumers have buying power, and with crypto, digital consumers have buying power too. So fans of crypto are excited by the potential applications of crypto in the metaverse. They see it as the pathway to busting big tech monopolies and creating a metaverse that's at least as free as the real world. Which, let's talk about that actually. Because the real world really isn't free, is it? Sure, you can see who you want if you have connections, and sure, you can do what you want if you have the money. And of course, you can go where you want if you have the first two things and a whole lot of time. And friendly relations with whatever location you're going to. But the internet is cool because it's different from the real world. It's the one place where there really doesn't have to be scarcity. There are fewer gatekeepers and fewer constraints based on trivial things like where you're from or what you look like.
On the internet, nobody knew you were a dog.
Unfortunately, recreating the real world seems to be the only thing everyone has their eyes set on, which is a shame, and not because it's in pursuit of making money. Making money is fine. But surely there are ways to make money that don't involve importing all the poison of human history, ways that use new and imaginative economic models, models that aren't all Ponzi schemes. Look, the internet's new and exciting, and I don't think it's too much to hope it won't be dominated by the same old world models. In other words, I don't want a vegan hot dog. I want a hot, delicious gungoguma. So far, a lot of people seem to be thinking the same thing, because there isn't that much interest in the metaverse, at least not yet in the spaces claiming to be metaverses. But there has been plenty of interest in digital worlds that aren't claiming to be metaverses, notably in games. Two of the biggest are Fortnite and Roblox. In Fortnite, you can watch films like Inception, go to virtual concerts by Travis Scott and Marshmello, and watch trailers for blockbuster movies. In Roblox, you can hop on the Titanic or go to Walmart for some reason. And these interactive events have attracted millions of people, orders of magnitude more than the platforms we've discussed so far. The reasons these have worked is twofold. One, there was an earth-shattering pandemic that killed a lot of people and forced everyone else to stay at home, at least as much as they could. So there's a whole lot of people with a whole lot of time on their hands that just barely managed to avoid coming across any QAnon conspiracy theories. And two, people actually want to spend time on Fortnite and Roblox, independent of any metaverse type experiences they may be building. They're fun games first, the movies and concerts came after. And while Facebook works on realistic-looking human avatars, in Fortnite you can be anyone from Darth Vader to Goku. And wouldn't you rather be Goku than this guy?
There's one more feature coming soon that's probably the most requested feature on our roadmap. Legs.
So now it's a big competition. Who will get there first? The corporate behemoths sucking up talent and money to develop the digital frontier, or the metaverses lurking right under our noses, already with a limited number of land plots for sale? We really don't know. So we brought in real estate broker Stephanie Turk of Farkakte Aparments TikTok fame to ask what makes value in the metaverse, why anyone would want to go in the first place, and just how Farkakte, my digital apartment, turned out to be. The plan is basically to put everything that was my terrible living experience into Dragon City here in the metaverse.
There's a lot of potential in the metaverse with property.
We also enlisted you because you have experience looking at, analyzing, profiling apartments that are,
Less than stellar.
shall we say.
At times.
Yeah, what have you learned in covering all that? And maybe we should give a shout out to your background, right? Why your specialty is maybe highlighting some of those apartments.
I have a channel on TikTok called Farkakte Aparments.
Yes, Farkakte.
Farkakte, for those people who don't know, Farkakte means, in a nice way, a little messed up, okay? Welcome back to another Farkakte apartment. It's crazy that people live like this. Got a generic fridge with a name I never heard of. I never heard of Beko. What's that? I don't know. You got a washer and your dryer in your unit? No. Dented microwave. This is a nice dent in the microwave. We'll zoom in. This kitchen is supremely Farkakte. There's not much going on here.
How many apartments would you say you've seen over your career?
I don't know, thousands.
Okay.
You know, maybe less than 10,000.
So hopefully what we're about to show you today is at least maybe not the worst, but
It's
we'll
not
see.
going to be the worst, for sure.
Well, be careful. We'll see what we can offer you. So here we go. We've got an amalgamation of the two apartments I lived in. The one in the East Village, which I lived in right after I graduated. Then we got an Upper East Side apartment that is advertised as a railroad apartment, 2-bedroom.
I have an angle for you. As long as there's a home, there's someone to fill it, right?
Amen.
You know, there's always there's someone who lived there before, someone who lived after. But you're a developer now. You're building a home. Someone's going to live there. You know.
I like the confidence.
You know.
The angle is just that if we build it, they will come situation. I
The
think.
reality is, in 25 years, your current physical living conditions may not be as great as the metaverse, which is why you want to be living there.
I don't even need to explain it to you. You're already selling me.
You know what I mean? When you're living in your 60 square foot pod, you know.
That's what I'm saying.
It's better to be over there.
With the groundwork set and an angle in mind, it was time to take the literal virtual tour before placing it in the metaverse.
Okay, now we're in the living room. You have some nice chairs, a pillow, you got some pizza because we knew you'd be hungry, and a bottle of wine. Yes, so you can have that. You don't have a view over there, but that's fine. You have some light, and you have a nice TV on the floor. Oh, you have a dishwasher and a steam shower in the kitchen, which is what I'm looking for. Because I want to watch my coffee while it boils. I want to have a good eye view, and I can manage my time. Okay, this looks a little penitentiary-ish to me. There's a thin line between Farkakte and fabulous, okay?
On a scale of 0 to 10, 1 to 10, how Farkakte are we looking?
For this apartment, this barely Farkakte.
Really?
Yeah, this is a New York City apartment. And I love that the shower's in the kitchen. It's convenience, you know?
I think there's something to be said about that. Yeah, I think the artist did a great job carrying everything over. So, I mean, we can put it in Decentraland and get you walking around it.
So let's see what it's looking like in Decentraland.
You know, let's plop it in there and we'll know exactly what we're dealing with. The architect's renderings are nice, but Decentraland is a bit more limited. So the version of the property that we're placing in the metaverse needs to be scaled down. We've arrived in the metaverse.
And I'm very excited. So let's go. Let's tour this Farkakte-ness.
Here, let's take a look around.
Now this is much more Farkakte than your beautiful artist rendering.
You know, we took the furniture out, we took the pizza out, we got the triptych. The pigeon isn't on the triptych, but at least, you know,
We have the
it's
outline.
basically a blank canvas for people to do with it what they will.
There you go. So this is for an artist, for all of my people who are creative.
Yeah.
Boom, I got your apartment in the metaverse.
The canvas is there.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let's go into the kitchen over here.
Happy.
You've got the shower there.
Which is gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
This is, the view and the shower are the two selling points for me, okay?
So the question is, do we think we can sell this bad boy?
Absolutely. So I have some ideas all around, and you could kind of take what you will.
The only rule I know about real estate is location, location, location.
Right.
We're in Dragon City.
Yes.
It's a beautiful place to live, I'm told.
It is.
It's also weird because you can teleport anywhere in the metaverse, so it's not like you gotta really be driving around, but you know,
True.
proximity is,
Proximity is key, and right now there's no relevance for that proximity, right?
sure.
Doesn't mean that there won't be. But once there become boundaries, borders, and restrictions within the metaverse, where if you can't teleport to the next town or to the next area without paying a token or a fee, tolls, you're gonna have to create boundaries and restrictions in order to create value here.
I guess we gotta talk pricing. We gotta talk whether or not we wanna how the story fits. This was
Yes.
7,800 mana, which is right around like $3,000.
Okay,
Is
that's
how much we bought it for.
very good deal.
And that was just a plot of land. Then we paid the architect to build it, and that was, 3 days of work. So I'd say flipping it, we're in the green if we probably put this around.
Wait, don't say it, because you disclosing what your bottom line is, it is not going to be good for the sale of this apartment.
Okay.
If I may be acting as your agent, if that ends up being the case and I earn this listing, then I would say to keep that private and any other expenses you put in.
Let's try and make as much money as we can on this bad boy.
I think so.
If someone's willing to buy it.
Yes.
And you seem pretty confident that we can get something done here.
This is the first Farkakte apartment in the Metaverse, okay?
Yes.
That has a lot of social currency. Your buyer is going to be someone who appreciates buying a pop culture piece of art. They're not purchasing just a virtual home. They're purchasing an experience and a piece of art and a piece of time and pop culture, okay? So, boom, that's our main angle.
I like that.
That's what it is. This is a moving picture.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, boom. And
boom.
I know we have some Brooklynites who are they're gonna love this.
You've earned my trust as a broker.
Thank you.
You could become the very first broker to sell the very first Farkakte apartment in the Metaverse.
But hopefully not the last.
Amen to that. Stephanie,
Right.
I appreciate it. Good luck with
Thank
what
you
we've
so
done here.
much.
I hope we can find a beautiful soul to live in this beautiful home. After a couple of weeks, we decided to check back in. Give me the news, Stephanie.
So here's the news. The news is we didn't sell the apartment yet.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Farkakte, sometimes it needs its time to marinate, if you know what I'm saying.
I understand.
We're early on.
Well, listen, I mean, it was a challenge we gave you. You didn't fail me. Decentraland failed me.
Well, I really appreciate your understanding and kindness, and I brought my enthusiasm, and I'm going to continue to bring it, and hopefully we'll get a home sold in the Metaverse eventually.
We're going to keep our eyes open for maybe other nibbles. We'll see what happens. But thank you very much for putting in the effort out there.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity.
Thanks, Stephanie. Okay, so we weren't able to sell my apartment in the Metaverse. At least not yet. But we didn't really expect to in the first place. It's a Farkakte apartment, after all. So why did we go through all the trouble? Recreating my Farkakte New York City apartments in the Metaverse, tracking down a TikTok broker, encouraging her to list it with her legit real estate firm, insisting on keeping that listing up for anyone to stumble across. It certainly couldn't just be that we thought it was funny. No, there's got to be another reason. It's because it underscores the lack of imagination underpinning this whole endeavor. Building a metaverse that looks and functions just like our normal verse is worse than pointless. It's depressing. But that's what all the major players are doing right now. There's nothing new, and all the same old problems will eventually, inevitably seep back in. Greed, malice, and yes, even digital bedbugs. Because why not? People might object to what we've done here. They'll say you put all those shitty things just to make a point. That your Decentraland apartment didn't need to have leaks, or bedbugs, or a shower in the kitchen. And I'll say back to them, neither did my real-life apartment. But it did anyway. The world is only as good as we decide to make it. And the Metaverse is already here. Just look at your screen time numbers for this week and tell me I'm wrong. There's no better world coming. No better reality waiting in the wings. We're gonna have to build it. And whatever we're building, wherever we're building it, let's avoid building more slums. I'm Zach Guzman. This was Coinage. Stay safe out there.